And I was looking at basically like if I'd fallen, the gear would have kept me out of the sea, but it would have clattered me into ledges. So I hung on for ages, just getting like mortally pumped and desperate, you know, like trying to size up the options while your monkey brain is just going, nah! And so eventually got Ferdy to pay out loads of slack so that instead of swinging to the ledges, I could just drop straight into the sea. So I've dropped into the sea, and the tide was low at this stage. It was really slack, and there's all this sort of wavy brown kelp beneath me. But it still looked quite deep, but I did actually hit a rock underwater and bruised my heel quite badly. Swam out, fully racked up. I feel like if there's like crashing waves and wind and stuff like that, it's more of an assault on the senses. Sparks some sort of fear response, and you feel like you're under attack. That's why soloing in there, even though it's sort of silent and deadly, is actually somehow less terrifying. It's funny, I hadn't really thought about that wall very much, despite it being 10 minutes walk from home. You're looking around for something nice to eat and realise you've got a chocolate bar in your pocket. It's like right there. We'd climbed Comes Dervish that day, just gone up and repeated that, and felt a bit lazy about leading anything else, so I just thought we'd go and give a toppy on a couple of the routes on the pool wall. And then I just get interested in it and kept going back for a few days when I'd known to climb with and giving it a bit of a clean and things. On the right, sort of up next to the arete, there's Soap on a Rope, which is the easiest route and by far the most popular. That gets done quite a bit. Yeah, the thing about this one is that it's actually a little bit higher than the others. Then there's this little poppy move right at the top. It's not that bad, but it's like, it's not piss either. This little move. Can't find a way to do it that feels totally in balance. Oh, it's raining. Not very much. But then a top rope bath time / dope on a rope, the E5 next door, and that was actually pretty disconcerting. I was quite glad it was on top rope on that because there's quite a lot of loose bits on it. It was quite dirty as well because it's a groove, it kind of funnels vegetation from above. So give that quite a bit of a clean, remove some shrapnel from it and some vegetation, got it into good nick. And then I ran the bath, the next route to the left, up a blanker section of wall. The guidebooks flag that up as being quite snappy, but it actually seemed fine. I mean, it's just like normal slate level of snappy, and once you top roped it a couple of times, you kind of convinced yourself that all holes aren't going to snap on you. Like I wasn't so much worried about snapping something on that, it's just doing the moves. Soap on a rope's almost in some ways the best route. I'd happily just go and do that and repeat that over again because it's kind of quite nicely sustained. The other two are quite cruxy. Thankfully the cruxes aren't super high on them. If I had cruxes right at the top, I might have practiced them a little bit more before soloing them. I think grade wise, Soap on a Rope is like 6C, bath times 7A, around the bath 7B. I like how Vivian Quarry looks. I like how you got, it's sort of like those all the levels in it. Well, it's kind of symmetrical, and they're like sort of concentric circles with the pool at the bottom as this focal point. I like that trolley thing suspended above the pool. Imagine one day finally that gives in to rust. If you were climbing on the pool wall or something, and just suddenly it's like, yeah, it's like they thought about it when it's like it was almost designed before they just started blasting the shit out of it. It's like they actually did it to some sort of pattern. Yeah, it is quite attractive. wonder as well how deep that pool is. If they do scuba diving in it, it must be pretty deep. I haven't actually been into it, but I imagine it stays pretty cold. I feel like it did kind of approach those routes with more of a I'm not going to fall off mentality than a I'm going to have a go because I can fall safely into the water mentality. Didn't really want to test it. Certainly heard a couple of scare stories of what's happened to people and falling off out of control towards the top of that wall. Like Tim mentioned that a friend of his had ended up in hospital after falling off the top of Wishing Well years back. Verdea wasn't impressed when I got back and said that I hadn't got wet. She was like, "What? You could go soloing, you have to jump in." I was like, "No, you don't." Quite happy not to jump in. I did consider actually soloing in a wetsuit. I even went to the lengths of putting my wetsuit on in the morning, but I was like overheated within about 2 seconds of doing the wetsuit. I was like, this isn't going to work. I think from the sort of cruxes of those routes, from that sort of height, 12, 13 metres, I think I'd happily enough jump off in control. I wouldn't want to fall off in an awkward angle or something like that. Don't fancy Nicky's Leap very much. I think I bowled it several times over the last few days. The full length jump off the top. It's just a bit too high. And may result in a cold water enema. Allegedly. Yeah, this is the poolside safety. I think it's pretty buoyant. Away in Norway, that'd be a great look, yeah. I can't be bothered. I find even just like doing an Instagram post sometimes, like, just it feels like it takes way more effort than it should. Outrage. Still water. I've got underpants on, should be alright. up. It'd be pretty exciting if you didn't know what was coming.
Well done.
Woo.
Whoop, whoop.
Good. It was more like rewarding because I definitely wouldn't have been happy doing that without practicing it.
Yeah.
Typical slate, you just got to bear down on some stuff. That's class because you don't have to stop and fiddle with gear and piss around. And you can do more moves in a row than you can do in a boulder problem. Yeah, it's great. But then there's the slight trade-off of the more you climb, the higher you get, etc. Yeah, to be honest, it felt a little bit as though doing soap on a rope and bath time, having practiced them, was sort of cheating myself out of an experience a little bit. Not cheating, because I don't really care if it's cheating or not, just like I would have had a much more memorable experience of those routes if I had just like whizzed in an abseil, had a quick look and then gone for it sort of thing. That said though, I don't think I'd have had much fun on bath time just going for it without really looking at it, because there was quite a bit of loose stuff on it. I think I would have just been totally gripped. When I ran the bath, I don't really regret top roping that. I would never have done that without checking it out. I guess you could get off a canoe or something like that for the pure ascent. Went climbing. It was fun. What's next? What's next is going back and doing the other ones I haven't done yet. I was actually thinking that I should really go and have a look at the traverse of the wall, the other E6 Order of the Bath, because I'd sort of dismissed that because it's a traverse, but actually you do all the hard climbing not silly high on that and eventually end up in soap and a rope, so that like the high part's not that hard. We need lockdown restrictions to ease so we can have like a proper party in there, like get some inflatables in and stuff like that.